think with a lot more grace than maybe even I could. Somebody much older than she is, or I think that woman's in a tough spot, and she seems to be doing a pretty good job handling it.
Yeah, I mean, it's MJ getting cut from his freshman team, right?
Yep.
We'll see how the story ends.
Motivation.
Again, she's very composed. I don't know if I don't want to say media trained, but I do think the stardom she had at the last several years at Iowa probably put her in a really good spot for this.
I agree.
And I think some of her WNBA peers could probably stand to learn a lot from her. And
just a little bit take on things, and I think he's right about Caitlin. I do. I think give it a little while, and then all of a sudden, players. Like, I think there's obviously some jealousy that's going on right now. Give it a year, maybe 2, and it should probably, dial down by about half. Welcome back to the program, where I'll get you some Burt Kreischer tickets. We'll do that 9:30 this morning here on Rock 106. Burt in town on the 20th. FullyLoadedFestival.com if you're looking for tickets. Or, like I said, I'll pass those out at 9:30. So one of the things that happened while I was gone or waiting to come back from vacation is another, well, at least from my childhood, massive celebrity has decided to call it quits and hang it up. Now, we knew this was coming. It wasn't like a surprise. It had been announced for a while that Pat Sajak was going to step away from Wheel of Fortune. I remember because we spent about 2 weeks in this country freaking out about the fact that Vanna White wasn't going to be paid the same amount of money Pat Sajak was. Oh my God, this is proof that the world's terrible, right, Vanna White? It proves the world's terrible. And remember that? That was like a big, huge problem. Pat Sajak signed off. And now people are asking the question, will this be the end of the great game show host? He had actually hosted longer than Bob Barker and Alex Trebek. That's nuts to me. Nuts to me. Although it shouldn't be that surprising for me in particular. This was my mother's show. This was one of those shows my mom was like, I'm a wheel watcher. Like she was. And she would yell the answers from the couch, and of course she would have it right long before the contestant on the television program, which always had me a little suspicious, like, these are idiots, right? Like, they're not, like, this person's a dope, right? You can't count to 12. It always made me a little suspicious about that. But, like, my mom loved that show. My dad used to talk about how if he could only have a job like Vanna White's, like, she doesn't even have to turn the thing anymore. She just points at it now. It made him crazy. She didn't have to, like, turn the letter. People might not remember or not know this, but the letters were used to be on, like, spindles. And, like, she would actually go over there and, like, turn it, And then, like, when the light-up thing happened, like, my God, the woman with the easiest job in America, they're making her job as easy or not. It made him absolutely crazy. And I think it was just, he, like most men, just wanted to annoy his wife, right? Like, whatever she enjoyed, I have to take the shine off of this at least a little bit. Right? And I felt like that's how Dean did that for Sue. She was a big wheel watcher. I don't think it's the end of the game show host. I don't know if we're going to lose the game show host. I'm more worried about losing the show itself. My mother, again, a wheel watcher, like, she's like most older people now. Like, it's the game show now. But most of those shows she's watching aren't new. Like, they're older. And for her age range, you could show the same episodes this week that it did 2 weeks ago. It's not like they're going to remember, right? It's like my mother barely remembers who she's speaking to, let alone what she watched a couple of days ago. So I worry about that. More game show type stuff is being done by influencers. I've said this, and people, I just don't think care enough to pay attention to it or care enough to think that it's an issue. But guys like Mr. Beast, right, who's an influencer online, that guy's out there doing every old radio bit I've ever seen. They're going to bury Mr. Beast alive! Yeah, Dr. Silkini's going to show up and bury put into another area, and then everybody's, because that's what this. It stole all of television and radio and then told 17-year-olds they invented it. I mean, it was freaking smart, but that's what the internet is. That feels what will happen with game show hosts. Pat was very good at his job when I was a kid. I haven't watched it in years. I don't think he's so damn good at it. How do you replace? He did not necessarily come off as well to me as Alex Trebek. Alex Trebek felt like, how the hell do you move on from him? It doesn't necessarily feel that way to me. Welcome back to the Stansbury Show, 9:30. I'll get you hooked up with some Bert Kreischer tickets for the Fully Loaded Festival. That on the 20th here at Tom Benson Hall of Fame Stadium. You missed that interview with Bert. Will you Sublime? Sublime just sucks. Like, there's nothing, there's no redeeming quality about that band at all. Not one. Like, not one. As a pothead, the worst thing that happened was potheads getting louder after Sublime came out. It's like, dude, pipe down, right? Like, don't necessarily need all that. Not a Sublime guy at all. Don't really care for 311, but they got a new one out. Offspring does too, apparently. So we may get you those. I think they have a couple of local submissions. We got some stuff ready to go for Future Tuesday back. We had been talking about Wheel of Fortune. Pat Sajak, hanging it up. He's kind of done. And I said, well, look, we kind of knew this, though. It's not coming out of left field, as the announcement had been made for a while. And I brought up, people were all upset about the pay between Vanna White and Pat Sajak. And I don't remember the disparity between the two. One's a host and one isn't. I think that's how the network or, the producers of the show are going to approach it. There were people who thought Vanna White should just move into the host role. I could understand that. I could get it. Anonymous with the program. Like, she kind of is. Alyssa says, look, we always see Vanna. That's who I associate with the show. That's what Alyssa. I mean, it's weird for me because, like, Vanna White when I was a kid was like, Vanna White, right? Because she was like one of the original. Now, there was plenty of this before I was born. But in my lifetime, Vanna White felt very much like she was the starting pistol of, do they really have to be dressed like that? Like, it kind of, she feels like one of those, right? Where it's like, do we really have to, like, drive home the fact that this woman is nothing but eye candy? Do we really have to do that? Which I don't know why anybody's ever surprised to find out eye candy's part of television. It's a visual medium. Like, of course, it's like you want to see pretty people. Like, of course. Like, I can't even believe anybody's ever shocked by that, ever, that people are shocked. I don't think anybody's shocked by it. I think people are upset about the fact that they're not going to be pretty enough to be on TV. Neither am I. Right? Neither am I. You know what I mean? No way. You point a camera at me, the thing breaks, and got by a new one. Like, you ain't putting me on TV. There's a reason why most of us aren't on television. Right? But yeah, all right. Synonymous with that. Kelly says, I actually got to see Pat's final sign-off. I used to be a regular Wheel watcher. I love Word. He was pretty good at them, too. Yeah, my mom seemed to love that show, too, like I said. It was one of those. I don't know if it breaks down females like this show and men don't, right? I don't think it's that. But it did seem to be like the mom's favorite show. My mom still to this day still loves like game shows. You go into her house, the Game Show Network, Fox News. Those are pretty much the only two things that are going to be on that TV all day. It's just welcome to being 77. Those are the rules. That's literally just how it goes. This coming in up the text line, if you're talking game show hosts moving forward, anybody but Ryan Seacrest is nuts. I feel like there was a time where he was like the copy and paste of, we need something to be successful. Copy and paste, here goes Seacrest. An absolute, for a long time, giant and titan in my industry, the radio industry. His radio show back in the day was, and I mean, massive. I mean, it was huge. A very good friend of mine actually interned for him back in the day. And so I've heard plenty of Ryan Seacrest stories, and I mean plenty of those. He does it much like I said earlier. We were talking to Bert Kreischer about the Tom Brady roast, and I said to Bert, dude, you're the next guy to be roasted. He goes, no, dude, make it Tiger Woods. I said, I don't feel like Tiger Woods still has the gravitational pull that he once had. That, to me, sums up Ryan Seacrest right now. Now, maybe I'm doing a bad job of paying attention to everything Ryan's doing. That would be true. Like, I don't really keep up on what Ryan is doing these days. He was kind of one of those guys. He was cheat code-ish, like Pedro Pascal, right? Not game show. He's an actor. But like that guy started showing up in everything because people were like, dude, people like him, put him in everything. They'll start telling everybody our show that absolutely sucks is really, really good. Like, he became the cheat code a little bit, And Seacrest was one of those guys. I don't know if he really fills that role all that well anymore. I got a couple of Steve Harvey suggestions here. I guess Steve Harvey's doing the Family Feud. I had forgotten about that. I've only ever seen what's gone viral from there, where somebody's got like a ridiculous answer, and those always feel planned and scripted to me. Like, they know, like everybody else, like, just make this go viral, get us our hits and do the thing. You won't believe what this family member said was the 10th thing, right? And is it butt cheeks? And then next thing you know, something's going viral, and then Steve's got those big white chompers out there, and everybody's like looking at it, right? I feel like a lot of that stuff is Jimmy Kimmel had a big hit with, his show being aired the next morning by people watching the clips, and I feel like television's the lemmings walking off the edge of the cliff while trying to follow suit. I feel like that's what happens with those. I haven't seen a lot of Steve Harvey hosting that. Drew Carey comes up a lot with The Price is Right. I'm aging myself here, I guess, a little. Those guys will never, for me, because I'm just not that age, they'll never slide into those roles for me. It will always be Bob Barker. Always. There's a reason why when Happy Gilmore came out, people were like, oh my God, dude. He got Bob Barker to come out here and slum it for this MTV movie? Like, what in the hell is happening here? Before the end of the hour, I'll get you some Bert Kreischer tickets for that show on the 20th, Tom Benson Hall of Fame Stadium. Bert, nice enough to stop by the program this morning. Had been talking a little TV as Pat Sajak wrapping it up. He's kind of done there. Signing off. A lot of people feel like this will be the end of the game show itself. I don't know about that. I kind of feel like some new life could come into the game shows. Like, I kind of feel like an invention of another one might be a good idea. They kind of need, like, remember when like the Millionaire show came out? Like, oh my God. I mean, that was community viewing. People were getting together at each other's houses. Who's going to be your lifeline? Like, that overtook society. It's been a while since one of those has happened. And again, I don't think this is a bad thing, but the internet has stretched attention across, well, the internet, right? And so something can be big. It's not necessarily as big as something back then that everybody's taken a part of, right? But I feel like a creation of a new, I don't know if it's basketball, right? Like, but some new sport. I think a new sport is actually a good idea too. I think sports is driving a lot of entertainment eyeballs. When you start talking live programming, it's one of the last things that's still doing it. Now, some good shows that are coming out with weekly episodes can do this too, which, by the way, I don't know which one of you told me, but I had, when House of the Dragon came out on HBO, like, the end of Game of Thrones kind of got me to the point of, like, I don't care about this. I don't care about this world anymore. I don't really, and I was kind of done. And for me, it was really when Jon Snow gets up off that table. It's like, really? Like, oh my God, right? So it was kind of, so I jumped off that train earlier than a lot of people did. But here comes House of the Dragon, the story of the Targaryen family, as like a prequel series. And I just had written it off. I was like, I don't really care. And, we talk TV shows, a lot of the programs. So many of you were like, no, dude. So again, I was kind of searching for something. I was out on break, and my brother and I were just kind of screwing around, and we would go out all day. But then, at night you come home and we're like, all right, let's just watch a little TV and relax. And so we threw it on, and we couldn't stop watching. I mean, so good. Apparently, the new episodes of season 2 is coming out this Sunday, and I'm pumped. I can't wait. That show was really, really good. Really good. Hard to call a season better than Game of Thrones, which gave you 8 years, 8 seasons, I should say. It was a lot longer than 8 years. Because those first couple of seasons of Game of Thrones were like, people were talking biggest television villain the week before I left for vacation. We didn't get into it, but I saw that was going pretty viral. Cersei Lannister has easily got to be one of the best villains in the last 25 years. Has to be. I don't know how she wouldn't be. She sleeps with her brother. She kills her own family members. She undermines everybody she knows to try to get her hands on the throne. She was literally going to poison and kill her own child until she finds out her dad comes back, and like, oh my God, man. Cersei is, dude, people throw around the term bad bitch all over the place. Cersei, you bad bitch. Like, dude, she is something else, man. Like, she's a villain to me, and a damn good one. But House of the Dragon, you guys ended up being a little right about that. Man, was that some good TV. Looking forward to that second season of that coming up this week, apparently, like I said, Sunday. I don't think Pat's... So many of you are writing in telling me, dude, Vanna White's the bigger star of Wheel of Fortune than Pat Sajak. It's not even close. As long as she's there, the viewership should be fine. I'm interested to find out if you're right. I don't think you're wrong. It's not like I'm not going to dig my heels in on this one and go, you guys are crazy. It's all Pat all day. I don't think that's it. As a matter of fact, I think Pat Sajak has done what a lot of, like Chuck Woolery went through this. Like people used to love Chuck Woolery. And then he supported the president or the former president. And people were like, I always knew he sucked. Right? Like it was kind of one of those. And Pat Sajak has done a similar thing. So I wonder if he's not already emptied some of his fandom cup as it is. So I think most things can survive without you. Most things, especially entertainment, right? Most things can survive a host change. Most shows can survive a cast member change as long as it's, you know what I mean? There are obviously exceptions to the rule is the fastest way to say what I'm looking to say there. But most things I think can get a new life. I mean, there are people who think Drew Carey is a better host of The Price is Right than Bob Barker, which for today's version of presenting, I think Drew probably works better. Where I think Bob, if you go back and watch it now, you'd be like, a little cringe, Bob, with the skinny mic, right? Like I think all the teens would be telling you, cringe master, edgelord, cringe master. You'd be hearing a lot about that with Bob Barker. But like when it first happened, people were like, you can't replace the double B. You need double B. But turns out all these years later, no, you really don't. Congratulations to Jimmy Erbach out of Navarre. Won his way into some Bert Kreischer fully loaded festival tickets. That show on the 20th at Tom Benson Hall of Fame Stadium. I'll have tickets for you all this week on the program. FullyLoadedFestival.com if you're looking to buy your way in. Bert, nice enough to stop by the program this morning. Made for a good day back from vacation for me, right? Enjoyed that. I was like, all right, yeah, I'll talk to him, right? One of the biggest things going right now on my first day back, yeah, I will absolutely take that. It's good to have him on. We're looking ahead at tomorrow's program already for New Turd Tuesday. There's new stuff all over the place. There's new Offspring. There's new 311. There's some Eminem that's somewhat new. There's new apparently falling in reverse and Jelly Roll to get to. I think I have a couple of local submissions, so tomorrow, New Turd Tuesday. I haven't made the final selections as of yet. I'll listen to some stuff today, and we'll get you that tomorrow, that at 9 a.m. I'm looking to pass out those Bert Kreischer tickets tomorrow at 7:45. We'll get those passed. This week a little bit. Everybody has a fair shot. If you missed the show earlier this morning, I was talking about another concern of AI taking over the music industry because, well, this came out.
You can find me in the club, a bottle full of love. So come get if you're in, go shoddy. It's your birthday, we're gonna party like it's your...
I'm sorry, but if you're into being rubbed, it kind of feels like a Diddy line, not 50.
Your birthday. When I pull up out front, you see the bands on the nose. When I roll 20 deep, it's 29 in the club.
Why are we taking knives to the club?
My flow, my show brought me the dough that bought all my fancy things. I read my card.
You know, ask not what your country may. Who did this? Who did that? I mean, we are literally about 5 years away from not remembering or not knowing a single thing. And I think that's a little terrifying. If you missed any of the conversations this morning, pick up the podcast. That's shortly at WRQK.com. Aside from that, done for the day. Not back live again until tomorrow. Stay safe out there. Be good to one another. And do, in fact, meet me here tomorrow morning at 6 a.m. for Tuesday's program on Round 69. Hopefully you have a great afternoon, and hopefully I run into you somewhere around town.
We are audiostack.ai.
Combining AI writing, the best synthetic voices,
with production and delivery.
Be it ads, podcasts, or VOs for video.
Just like